Diddle, diddle, Blackcoat's daughter, what was in the holy water?
The Blackcoat's Daughter is a horror film directed by Oz Perkins. It's about a young girl named Kat who gets left behind at her Catholic boarding school over winter break, where a demonic entity takes control of her. I will focus on the last sequence of the movie, when after Kat beheads 3 people as a form of sacrifice at the peak of her possession, a priest performs an exorcism on her. A scene then flashes forward to Kat 9 years later at the now abandoned school, offering more sacrifice to the devil, where she ultimately realizes that she is alone. Although the film is of the horror possession genre, Osgood spoke on how he wanted the film's scary element to be a vehicle used to portray something sad.
There's an element to the horror genre that's both glamorous, strangely glamorous. Movies like Rosemary's Baby, it's a very glamorous movie where a lot of attention is paid to silence and color and texture and glamour, look, beauty, frailty. And so keeping with those sort of concepts and those feelings, those vibes, I set out to just sort of to make something like that was going to be sort of a sad movie disguised as a horror movie.
Perkins is the son of late Anthony Perkins, the star of Psycho. It's no wonder why he was inclined to choose a horror genre to portray his sad story. Earlier horror films are a big inspiration to Perkins. As we can see, he takes the name Bramford from Rosemary's Baby.
Are you aware that the Bramford had rather an unpleasant reputation around the turn of the century?
Oh, lovely.
Adrian Mercato practiced witchcraft. He made quite a splash in the 90s by announcing that he'd conjured up the living devil.
Another example of how Perkins pays homage to earlier horrors is how he uses one of the most classic possession horror movies, The Exorcist, to define his own film's exorcism. Robin Wood, a film critic and author of The American Nightmare, Horror in the 70s, writes that horror movies deal with the return of topics that people repress. He states that the true subject of the horror genre is the struggle for recognition of all that our civilization represses. In this film, it is alluded that Kat's parents died in an accident, yet she represses any memory in order to avoid grief.
Mommy? Dad?
Another point that Wood brings up is the presence of the other in the horror genre, which are used to threaten normality. Wood says that the other is dealt with one of 2 ways: rejection or rendering it safe. In this movie, the other takes form as the devil as it possesses Kat. The devil is traditionally seen as scary and evil, like in the movie The Witch, where the father tries to kill Black Phillip. However, the devil in The Blackcoat's Daughter does not really seem scary and is actually wanted by Kat because her possession allows her to further ignore the death of her parents and her loneliness in general. The cinematography of the sequence creates a dark and silent atmosphere that exists in both horror and tragic films. Osgood Perkins wanted a female cinematographer in order to achieve a more quiet and sophisticated mood throughout, choosing Julie Kirkwood. Her use of darkness and shadows helps to convey a sense of danger to what the audience cannot see. The sequence is a sort of slow burn, and its lack of brutality and jump scares helps to focus on the character's humanity and sadness. Many of the shots that Kirkwood creates are close-ups, which is a medium that emphasizes emotion and creates sympathy for the character. This is one of the greatest ways that horror can create tragedy. This shot is at the end of Kat's exorcism, where the camera goes back and forth between Kat and the demon, showing her close-up, heartbroken. She desperately tells the demon,
Don't go.
The shot's absence of the devil creates a sense of emptiness, although the audience should be happy that she is no longer possessed. The following scene flashes forward to Kat 9 years later, trying to summon the devil back in the now abandoned school's boiler room. The shot of the room is shown seemingly darker than before, as the boiler is no longer lit. Through this close-up shot of the boiler, the audience can almost feel for themselves that it is cold and has been for years. The close-up of Kat's dark, half-shown face shows that she is now realizing that the demonic entity, her only escape from her life, will never come back. This leads us to the last scene of the movie. The wide shot with Kat standing in the middle of the snowy road conveys how small she feels. It helps to create a sense of solitude as Kat's realizing that she is totally alone. The restraint of Kat's sadness that was held back throughout the sequence and film as a whole is finally released. After much patience and attention, the last shot tells the audience the underlying themes of total isolation, grief, and horror's greatest trope of all, the recognition of what has been repressed.
In the garden I'm told, before I was born, in the still working morning, a seed was sown. Both the lamb and the lion